Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another Wii Homebrew related tech experiment video. This video is going to be very similar to the video I did a couple of days ago on trying to install the web server application, the Wii web server Homebrew application on my Nintendo Wii to set up a web server. And I won't spoil that video for you guys if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen it and you're interested, check it out, it'll be up in the cards. But today's video is going to be somewhat of a follow-up to that, because we're going to be trying to use FTP to create an FTP server on the Nintendo Wii. So let's just jump right into it. So this is the application right here. This application is dated August 22nd, 2010. This is the author's name over here. The version, this specific version on the Homebrew browser is version 0.0.22. Not sure if that is the latest version because, as you guys probably saw from the last video, if you saw that, the version of the Wii web server on the Homebrew browser is not the latest version, but it's still on here. So we're going to try, so we've got it installed, we're going to press the home button and return to the loader, and we're going to see how simple this is. The Wii web server was very simple to set up, but I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but it didn't work 100% properly. That's all I'm going to say. So we'll see if we have any different results with the FTP server right here. So first we've got some instructions. So FTP is an FTP server, pretty self-explanatory. To exit, hold A on controller 1 or press the reset button. To remount a device, hold B on controller number 1. To specify a password, rename the apps/FTP directory to apps/FTP_your password. To specify a password remotely, use the site passwd and site no passwd commands. A working DVD-X installation is required for the DVD features. Okay, so let's just press load here and see. I assume this is going to give us like a command line output. Yeah, so that's exactly what it does. So it says to exit, hold A on controller 1. Okay, so network initialize, listening on TCP port 21. Device inserted mounting front SD. Now, as I have said before in some of these tech experiment videos, this is definitely not the most ideal way to create an FTP server, by no means. But these videos are not to show you the most ideal way of doing something, but just to see if something can be done in a particular specific way. And you guys have seen, I've done a lot of videos like the floppy disk installations, the running Windows 95 on a Nintendo Wii. So with that being said, let me switch over to my computer and we'll see if we can access this FTP server. Alright, so here we are on my computer and I've got WinSCP open up here, which is an FTP client. So the host name is going to be the IP address, which in this case is 10.50.227.143. The port number in this case is 21, and you can see when I typed in 21 for the port number, the protocol changed to FTP because that's a port number that the standard FTP protocol uses. We're going to try anonymous login and see if that works. So yeah, so that works. So we can just use anonymous login. So here it is. This is the FTP server. So the Wii itself, just like in the case of the Wii web server, it is actively outputting the information. So in this case, it's going to tell you what commands are being sent to the server, where it accepted a connection from, which is my IP address there. And so we'll see if we can actually do more than one request, because that was, I'm just gonna have to say this anyway, that was the main problem with the web server video, is we were only able to do one request before the server stopped accepting incoming requests. So we're going to see if we can browse into like the SD folder right here. So we can check that out. So these are the files on the SD card. So we have ISFS, I assume these are all going to be system folders, OTP, and we have CPROM. So yeah, these are probably all just, folders that contain system files for the Wii itself that we don't really want to mess with. So here's a great use case scenario for this. Let's say that you weren't able to use the OpenShop channel / Homebrew browser for whatever reason. Say you didn't want to use that for whatever reason. You could set up an FTP server on your Nintendo Wii, and you could FTP into it and then copy new applications, new Homebrew applications that you want to use over to it that way without having to physically remove the SD card from your console and plug it into your computer. So yeah, that is pretty awesome. That is one of the use case scenarios that I can think of. And obviously, you can use this just like a regular FTP server if you want to. I mean, we can go into, here's my DOSBox folder. This is what I was using. This is the configuration file for DOSBox, which is what I used to install Windows 95 on the Nintendo Wii. Now, if you remember when we initially launched the application, it mentioned something about you can press B on your Wii Remote to remount a device, and that's how you can change which device that the FTP server is currently utilizing. So right now it's utilizing the SD card, so that's how I'm able to browse the contents of the SD card from my file browser here from my FTP client. But what I can do is press B on the Wii Remote and I'll get this menu right here, and you can choose. So what I can do is I've got a USB drive plugged in, and you can see it was apparently my FTP client just requested some data from it. But what we can do is press the right D-pad button to change it to USB storage device and press B, and now it will mount the USB storage device. So now if I try to refresh, now we've got this new folder called USB. We also still have the SD card. I guess it's still, if we try to refresh this, yeah, it's still able to read data off the SD card. That's actually cool. So you can have both of them mounted at the same time. But this is the USB drive right here, so I can go into this. These are all the contents of my USB drive. This is not the same drive that I had plugged in initially. For whatever reason, that drive did not work. It failed to mount. This is just another drive that I had, and this does have some Homebrew apps on it. But yeah, so if you wanted to plug in like a large USB drive and like a regular, like a full-size USB hard drive, you could plug that into the back of the Wii using this, USB port. You would obviously have to get an adapter if you're using a standard like internal drive, and you could use it to share files across the network via an FTP server, which is pretty awesome. Now again, currently it's set up, there's no encryption or anything like that. This is just set up to log in as anonymous as opposed to logging in with an actual username and password. But again, this is just set up on my local network, and maybe that doesn't bother you. Maybe if you actually want to use this as your FTP server, just to share files across your home network. Again, there are much better solutions for this, even not using an FTP server. You could just share a folder with Windows and just share that across your network, and that's going to be much easier, much more convenient than setting up an FTP server on your Wii. But to answer the question, is it possible? Yes, it's absolutely possible to set up an FTP server on the Nintendo Wii, and this is how you do it. You guys can probably follow along with this video, even though it wasn't intended to be a tutorial. Well, it's so simple that it kind of is. It just shows you exactly how to do it. And yeah, very, very simple, as I said. So if you guys enjoyed this video, if you want to see more like it, definitely be sure to give this one a thumbs up. Be sure to get subscribed down below. Turn on those channel notifications if you haven't already to get notified whenever I upload a new video, which I do every single week, multiple times per week on this channel. If you guys have any comments, questions, or video suggestions for me, be sure to drop those in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.